kept alive.
Does that give you the right?
No,
Does
no,
that
no,
give you the right
that-
to release
does that
all
give
of this
you the right-
carbon
Does
from...
that give you the right to lecture us on climate change? I am going to lecture you on climate change because we have kept this forest alive that stores 19.5 gigatons of carbon that you enjoy, that the world enjoy, that you don't pay us for, that you don't value, that you don't see a value in, that the people of Guyana has kept alive. Guess what? We have the lowest deforestation rate in the world. And guess what? Even with our greatest exploration of the oil and gas resource we have now, we will still be net zero. Guyana will still be net zero. With all our exploration,
couple of
we'll
points.
still be net zero. No, there's
powerful words, Mr. President, but a couple...
I'm not completed as yet. I am not finished as yet. I am just not finished as yet. Because this is the hypocrisy that exists in the world.
So, like we now have the so-called climate change agenda, and the West have spared no effort to lecture us on how we must save the environment, we must take care of the environment, and we must make sure that our carbon footprint can be reduced to as little as possible. And they have made like specific remarks on Africa. They are saying that Africa is a continent that is facing the worst climate change of all time. That Africa is suffering from drought, from flood, and a lot of things. And some of us Africans have just jumped to the bandwagon, right? We've just heard this and then just believed them. But let me just put this point straight before we watch a video that I want us to watch. The West have always called the narrative according to how it suits them. The West have always presented the narrative according to how it suits them. The West have always portrayed themselves as being the enlightened being, the entity that is more smarter, that is more liberal, that is more educated, that is more democratic. And while we, the Africans, are a society that is way more barbaric, way more backward, uneducated, unsophisticated. And so we have to pay heed to their warnings. And so they need to tell us what we have to know. And when they tell us, we have to listen because they know more than we do. That is how they have called the narrative. That is how they have presented the narrative. We Africans must be smart. Okay, we must be smart. We must be smart to understand that these people are only fighting for their interests, and we must also fight for our own interests. In as much as we want to protect the environment, we want to make sure that the environment is safe for our children and children's children and for the future generations. We must not fall victim to the plot of the West. We must be smart and sharp enough to see through these lies. Because, like I have said before, the West haven't done anything that has not been to their benefit. So even the climate change agenda is to their benefit, but they will just make it look like they are looking out for the best interest of us, the Africans. So let's watch this interview. It was a BBC interview with the president of Guyana. Guyana is a small country in, I think, Central America or South America, one of those places. It's border Venezuela, yeah. So that country has discovered a lot of oil deposit, and many Western firms are flooding into the small country to kind of like suck out the milk from the cow. And so this BBC interviewer was asking the president of Guyana how he's going to make sure that, in as much as Guyana wants to harvest their dinosaur juice, how would they ensure that the biodiversity in Guyana will be protected. So let's hear what the president of Guyana had to say.
Let's take a big picture look at what's going on here. Over the next decade, 2 decades, it is expected that there will be $150 billion worth of oil and gas extracted off your coast. It's an extraordinary figure, but think of it in practical terms. That means, according to many experts, more than 2 billion tons of carbon emissions will come from your seabed, from those reserves, and be released into the atmosphere. I don't know if you, as a head of state, went to the COP
Let me
in
stop
Dubai.
you right there. Let me stop you right there. Do you know that Guyana has a forest forever that is the size of England and Scotland combined? A forest that stores 19.5 gigatons of carbon, a forest that we have kept alive, a forest that we have kept alive.
Does that give you the right? Does that give you the right to
does
release
that
all
give
of this
you the right-
carbon
Does
from...
that give you the right to lecture us on climate change? I am going to lecture you on climate change because we have kept this forest alive that stores 19.5 gigatons of carbon that you enjoy, that the world enjoy, that you don't pay us for, that you don't value, that you don't see a value in, that the people of Guyana has kept alive. Guess what? We have the lowest deforestation rate in the world. And guess what? Even with our greatest exploration of the oil and gas resource we have now, we will still be net zero. Guyana will still be net zero. With all our exploration,
Couple of
we'll
points.
still be net zero. There's
Powerful words, Mr. President,
Hold,
but
hold.
a couple...
I'm not completed as yet. I am not finished as yet. I am just not finished as yet. Because this is the hypocrisy that exists in the world. The world in the last 50 years has lost 65% of all its biodiversity. We have kept our biodiversity. Are you valuing it? Are you ready to pay for it? When is the developed world going to pay for it? Or are you in the pockets? Are you in the pockets of those who have damaged the environment? Are you in the pockets, are you and your system in the pockets of those who destroyed the environment through the Industrial Revolution and now lecturing us? Are you in their pockets? Are you paid by them? Are you paid to keep their
Mr.
message
President.
alive?
You know, like I said before, right? The whole high-ranking or high status or self moral supremacy being portrayed by the West is so disturbing and horrifying. They have had years of industrial revolution. They have developed their countries, right? They have become first class. They have polluted the atmosphere. And when is our turn to try to fix our country, to try to build a road, to try to build factories, to make sure that we have a good manufacturing base? And what do we hear now? Climate change, global warming. Climate change, global warming. Climate change, global warming. That is all what we hear. And Western institutions like the World Bank and IMF will have these policies in their loan agreement to African countries. For example, if we give you this amount of money, you have to promise not to build certain factories, not to cut down certain trees, not to deforest certain areas in your country, or not to mine certain resources because it's going to pollute the environment. Now, I'm not saying that polluting the environment is a great thing. No. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that if those are resources that we have to mine to build our country, to build our society, to make the lives of our people better, that is what we should be doing. Because for the years that the Europeans took to build their country, they were not thinking about destroying the environment. They built their country, and after they built their country and had so much to eat, so much to live on, they can now start talking about how to protect the environment. We have to do the same. We have to follow this trend. We have to build our country. We have to make the lives of our people in the continent better. And when we must have done that, then we cannot sit and relax after we must have eaten and had something to drink. And we cannot talk to ourselves and figure out a way to save the environment. Everything must be taken stage by stage. We cannot allow ourselves to be fooled by these Western powers. We cannot allow ourselves to be manipulated by Western powers. We cannot allow ourselves to be taken advantage of. I hope our leaders are listening. Our leaders are paying attention. Our leaders are looking at our countries and really understanding how much we need development, how much we need manufacturing, how much we need to make sure that the so-called climate agenda does not interfere with our development. We have got to make sure about that. We have got to develop the continent. We have got to provide jobs for the people in the continent. And let me just throw this small point before I end this story. The high level of migration from Africa to Europe and America is partly as a result of unemployment in the continent. If you see the level of struggles, the level of suffering that people go through just to migrate from Africa to Europe, but people take it nevertheless. And do you know why? Because they have no better option in their respective countries. If they had options in their home countries, they would not risk their lives just to cross over. They won't do that. So, creating employment in the continent should be a priority. We need manufacturing in the continent. Our leaders should put that on the front page of their priority list. But you guys out there, when you listen to what the president of Guyana said, what is your take? Is he right to shun out the BBC reporter for being a hypocrite? Is he right to call the Western powers hypocrites for having double standard? Share that thought with us below, because like always, we love hearing what you have to say. Please don't forget to like this video, share it, and most importantly, subscribe to this channel. That helps us a lot, and we shall forever be grateful to you.